Welcome to another edition of the Pregame Pint. We are back here in Louisville at Against the Grain Brewery. This is our home last week. We were, of course, live from International Tap House in Soulard in St. Louis with the St. Louligans and St. Louis FC. We're back in Louisville, and, of course, St. Louis is back in Louisville for the third round of the Kings Cup clash between the two in-conference rivals, St. Louis Football Club and Louisville City Football Club. They will kick off right behind us at Louisville Slugger Field tonight at 7:30. We're going to preview that game tonight. We're going to talk a little bit about the U.S. Open Cup, and eventually Timothy Clark is going to join us to talk a little bit about his experience in St. Louis and possible upcoming plans for a trip to Chicago maybe. So we're going to start with Steve Peake. Steve, thanks for coming back on.
Yeah, I love it. I missed it last Sunday. I didn't make the trip to St. Louis. Missed a classic, an instant classic in this rivalry. That'll be the one that I think the first game, obviously big because it's the first game for both teams. It's bigger for Louisville because you know they won the game, and but that last meeting Sunday was one that I think they're going to be talking about for years when this rivalry really starts to build up, and you think, man, remember that game where there was the 45-minute rain delay,
and
they ended in a 3-3 draw. So it was fun,
and it was crazy. There was so much back and forth. I mean, it was, Louisville really came out of that rain delay ready to go. They came out I don't want to say angry because they weren't that angry, but they came out ready to put the pressure on and say, okay, we're going to win this. I mean, it's like in other sports, you take the timeout. You want to win the timeout. You want to come out of the timeout ready to go. And it was like that for Louisville City last weekend. They said, okay, we're going to win this rain delay. And arguably they kind of did. They came out strong. Obviously conceded that penalty kick. To let him back in.
It was I guess a game to forget for Scotty, but he bounced back immediately on Wednesday, and it's a tough position, goalkeeping. I know I'm kind of preaching to the choir here with many soccer fans being the ones that tune in. But, a keeper making, a mistake could ultimately end the game. A midfielder makes a mistake, and it may go unnoticed. You never know. But that was a fantastic game. I think what really helped Louisville City, and Coach pointed it out several times, was that friendly they had against SIUE. Kind of the same circumstance. There was about a 45-minute delay, and Mario Sanchez, I believe the head coach at SIUE, was patient. He let the game continue, and they were able to come out and they, of course, conceded a goal to SIUE, but Coach credited that experience, and so did many of the players to coming out and getting 2 goals in St. Louis.
Well, that's one thing I certainly thought of, and I had spoken with Andy Gebhardt, joined us on the show, and we talked about the tradition of soccer in St. Louis, and we mentioned SIUE, and St. Louis had played them. St. Louis won. Louisville City dropped that game. It was a friendly rain delay, and we had talked about that. They had that rain delay, and I think that definitely probably was at the back of their minds, and they thought, hey, we've been near here before and in a similar situation. Right. So, but they came out strong, and that penalty that Scott Goodwin conceded was right on the edge of the box. I mean, just barely. Just a split second off. I mean, it was one of those things.
He was going away from goal, so it was the correct card, a yellow card. I know there were a lot of people saying it should have been a red. He was going away from goal. It was Ambersley, I believe, was going, and he had an incredible goal. I mean, tip of the hat. Give credit where credit is due. That was that second goal from Mike Ambersley was quality. It was,
and the scoreline was 3-3. It wasn't 1-0. It wasn't like any one of those goals decided it. They all played a factor. It was a great match. It ended, with a lot of intensity. The Louisville Coopers, we'll get to that eventually. They had to hit the road, so their section stands were empty. But the St. Louligans stayed out. They made a lot of noise actually at the end. I don't know if you could hear that on the broadcast.
Oh yeah, I mean, I think they were the only ones left in the stadium, at least from what we saw from the TV view, which made it kind of interesting there at the end when Nate was able to get that shot off amidst the smoke from coming from the St. Louligans. Those goals just came in. It was just like in a matter of 15 minutes. It was just what happened. There was a lot of ups and downs, highs and lows throughout that game, and it just got better for both teams going into Wednesday.
I mean, I had driven by myself, and so I was there, and it was raining, and I thought, well, maybe I should just hit the road because it's going to be raining. I got to get all the way back to Louisville, and I decided to wait and hang out, and I was standing there watching the game. And it was just suddenly over. I mean, it's like the last part of that game just went so quickly. It was suddenly like, oh, man, oops, I stayed till the end of the game, which was great because it was a great game. It was a great finish. But it was, it was neat. It was lightning fast. We'll get that one in there, the lightning.
There we go.
But, it was
Save that
a good
one up
game.
You're saving it since Sunday, right?
No, it just came to me.
Okay.
It just came to me. But, so that game finishing a 3-3 draw. Obviously, we're going to look to change back to the way it happened the first time tonight. But first, we got to talk about what happened in midweek.
Yeah,
up in Indianapolis.
Both teams coming in off of heart-stopping moments throughout both of those matches. I mean, of course, I didn't get to really see. I did not get to watch the St. Louis match, but I was keeping up with it a little bit on social media.
You had your own.
We had our own thing going on, which I mean, I'm going to tell you what, that was so neat to see those guys celebrate. I told you right before we went on, that was a World Cup like celebration. The reserves are joining in. The coaching staff is joining in down there by the corner flag, and they look up to the supporters, which were put in the far corner at Mike Pearl Stadium, and they're and then it was so awesome because the little Louisville City section compared to the Brickyard Battalion, which is one of the best in NASL, which is they're making so much noise. It was so cool. You can see what it meant to the players, and then of course the celebration in the locker room after the game, the Yaya Toure chants, which they had to be the first team since Liverpool did it that day to do it. So it was really cool to see that this is what it means to them. The guys who didn't play that game at all, what it meant to them to be part of the team.
And it's worth noting, of course, that USL, the USL teams against the NASL teams went 7-0 that night, which was, I think shocked a lot of people because, there is that division of levels, Division 2 and Division 3, and think of it what you will, take it as you will, but I think it was one of those things where the USL sides were really excited to get that result and say like, hey, we're nothing to sneeze at or whatever.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, the talent discrepancy within the two leagues, it's not there's none. They're even. And now with this MLS affiliation, there's a lot of players that want to go play USL, knowing they're going to get looked at by some MLS teams a little bit harder because of the affiliations. So the talent discrepancy, it just isn't there. These guys are just as good, if not better. And they what can you say? They were better on Wednesday. I don't know if you play those games all over again. Next week, if you get the same outcome, every time. I don't think you do. I mean, obviously, all those games going in.
And both the games we're talking about, extra time in Louisville and in St. Louis. St. Louis needed extra time and actually penalty kicks to take down Minnesota United, who actually I think missed maybe 3 of the penalty kicks. Hit one off the bar, one off the side, and one over the top. But a hard-fought game. I mean, that game was as intense as any that they've played. I think the St. Louligans were you're just ecstatic at the result. They loved it,
and rightfully so. That's got to be. It's great for them. It's great for the league. And I thought what was so cool was seeing how everybody in the league, whether you're rivals or not, everybody kind of got behind the USL. And we were the last game. Louisville City and Indy were the last game between USL and NASL teams. So there, you saw the whole league get behind. Come on, Louisville, get a goal. And when Nate put it in, Twitter was crazy with all USL fans. St. Louligans. I don't know if they want me to say this, but there were St. Louligans pulling for Louisville City to win that game, which is neat because it is your league.
Them. We will not name them.
We won't call them out, but it's their league. They want to see the league do well. Now, of course, in league play, they have different intentions. So.
Oh yeah, of course. But coming back to Louisville, shout out to the Coopers. Obviously, we'll get to them later, but they put on a little live stream of that game so that people could watch it. That was so awesome. And
Jason Ince and Brian Davis from Mayo, right? That was so cool. That was totally the fans announcing the game. Oh, yeah. So it was great.
They had a good time.
And you know what? That's the way it should be. I know there's a lot of professionalism once you get behind the mic and everything, but you know what? You've already associated yourself with Louisville City. Yeah, they did great. I was really impressed.
It was good. It honestly reminded me a little bit of the NCAA tournament when they have the 2 different broadcasts that you can watch for the games on different channels where it's,
Jason Ince is the next Rex Chapman, I think.
I think so. He might. Well, I don't know that that's a great comparison to make. In some ways, you might like it. In some ways, it might be like, well, I don't know. But so anyway, Louisville City taking down Indy 11, 2-0. The picture of Sidney Rivera jumping. How high did he get in that picture? I mean, I saw a picture where he
definitely got net.
Levitating.
Definitely got net.
That shows his athleticism. But obviously, Louisville City now moves on to the next round to take on the Chicago Fire going up there. I mean, what does that mean to this team?
Wow, Matt Fondy especially, right? I mean, that's got to mean something for him to get to go play at Toyota Park. And a little fun fact about me, that was my first team that I really got behind was the Chicago Fire, so it's going to be neat.
Who are you going to be pulling for?
Oh, well, I mean, that's easy. I mean, it's going to be Louisville, right?
Yeah, all right, we'll take that. Yeah,
I mean, no question. Yeah. No question. I mean, that you can't really be a fan of another domestic team when you have your own team that you're pulling for, and you got the Orlando City affiliation. So I've kind of gotten rid of the whole Chicago thing, and it wasn't that hard because like we've talked about before, the to be a soccer fan, a lot of it has to do with the civic pride, and so I can't be like Chicago, and I've been there like 5 times my whole life, so I know I'll be pulling for Louisville.
Yeah, and it's that way, especially you see it in England, and obviously in American soccer, we take a lot of things from the European traditions because it's what we saw, it's what we've learned from to build American soccer to what it is today. And you notice especially in England and the like, you've got these small town teams, and you've got these people that, even though they may look at, the English Premier League, they've still got their league, they've still got their team, and it's very grassroots, and they love their team because it's their team. And so I think that's what you see with the Coopers a lot. You see them, looking at their team, and this is a great opportunity for Louisville to get on the big stage to play the Chicago Fire. And of course you got Matt Fondy, who once made some appearances for the Chicago Fire. Now I think he's going to want to take them down.
Absolutely. I mean, how cool is that he's going to get this opportunity, and the whole team really, to get to play at a major league soccer facility. Toyota Park has been one of the first to be soccer specific. So it's really cool that we're going to get to play there and have that chance to move on to the 5th round. And like you said, I think that playing in this game already gives you a little bit of national notoriety. If you're able to win it and move on to that 5th round, get into that can I say Elite 8? I know they say round of 8, but we're in a basketball NCAA tournament thing. So
they're elite.
And if you're in the final 8, you're elite. So the Elite 8 round to get in that draw, that would just be amazing. And just to see the excitement, the guys that they were going to Chicago, playing the Fire, well-established team that's been around since I think 1997. So really cool stuff.
And this team really seems to love Louisville. They love playing for Louisville. They love the fans. They love the experience. But it's obviously a great thing for all these players to get to go to that level and show what they can do because, every player wants to move up to the highest level they can. And obviously this is a good example of a time where they can show what they can do. They can put themselves out there.
I'll tell you this, Dalton. Every time I'm around a player, they're always saying how much they love Louisville. And I don't think if they were all doing it, they're not saying it just to make me feel good. I'll say something about, gosh, the traffic here is just terrible. I'll just start because it's my city. I can talk bad about it.
Oh, yeah. We're both from here. It's, the traffic's bad sometimes.
I was like, traffic's bad. I was complaining. They go, yeah, but man, this place is so nice. Like, I love it here. That's what all the players kept saying. So like they are like buying into the city. But if they get the opportunity to, go to the next step in their career, they're going to want to do it. But I'm going to tell you what, if they do, there's going to be a piece of them that's actually going to miss being here. I can tell.
Oh, yeah. Well, I talked with Matt Fondy on Media Day. I think they had just gone to Hammerheads the night before, and I love Hammerheads. And we were talking about, I was like, man, do you have the duck tacos? They're like, oh, my gosh, they have duck tacos. I got to try that. And I'm like, yeah, it's really good. So it was one of those things where we're like, it's like, they love it. Hey, we got Hammerheads, guys. Don't forget that. But obviously, with the Chicago Fire, that's going to play a little part tonight because the Chicago Fire is the affiliate of St. Louis Football Club, and we've just learned today of another loan coming in. We've got one guy. We've got Mike McGee who's coming in. We learned that earlier this week. Former MLS MVP, signed with Chicago Fire in 2013, was named MVP or maybe it was a runner-up for MVP. No, runner-up for Golden Boot that season. Won MVP that season. Yeah. Yes, and is obviously going to be playing tonight. He's coming back for an injury, looking for a rehab.
Yeah, one thing that I thought was, they have a guy, Jeremy Lynch, who's in it's top form right now. And so are they going to go 2 forwards? That's something we'll see. Or does Mike McGee sub on like the 65th minute just to get him some time out on the field?
It's worth pointing out Mike McGee is a very versatile player. He has played striker. Yeah. He has played a role as an attacking midfielder. He's also played goalie, believe it or not.
No way.
In a game against when he was at LA Galaxy, I don't remember who they were playing. Donovan Ricketts was injured. Backup goalkeeper got a red card. Mike McGee put the gloves on, kept a clean sheet.
He's a little guy, right?
I'm not sure. I don't want to call him diminutive or anything, but that's impressive.
Very skillful, obviously.
Coach, give me the gloves. I'll get in there.
Right.
Kept a clean sheet.
That's did you really?
Yeah, that's impressive. 0-0 finish on that game. Yeah.
Wow. And that's going to be cool. To see Mike McGee out on the field, I think it's really neat, and it shows it's a lot of respect. They send down these 2 players just to play Louisville City.
Yeah,
that's really. Because I know you haven't talked about Kingsley yet. I know you're going to get to that.
That was today, right? They was just announced.
It was actually yesterday. They did it, but it was.
I saw it today, but
The hype machine was around Mike McGee, obviously.
Of course,
but And that's really cool. You know, he's on it's pretty long loan period, a whole 3 days. So that's, I mean, he trained with them yesterday. He'll play with them today, and then he'll leave tomorrow. So St. Louis for life. Mike McGee, he's going to go down in St. Louis history with this like 30 minutes that he may play today.
Well,
so it's one of those things that you know, like the player said, doesn't matter if it's Ronaldo, doesn't matter who it is out there. We're going out there to win. We don't care who it is. You know, that's just another player on the field.
And it's worth noting that the MLS affiliation was partly born out of the idea that, you know, the MLS sides want to get the most out of all their players that they sign. They don't want to have to release somebody because of hardship. They want to give them a chance. They don't want to lose the value that they placed in them. And I talked with Sidney Rivera about that after he came on, I think, the last home game here. And I said, what does that mean to you? Because in another situation, without this affiliation, you might have had to have been released from Orlando. You know, you might have had to go somewhere else. But in this situation, you're given the chance to come down here, show what you can do, maybe get back up to that level. And he was very appreciative, very complimentary. So I think it's worth noting that that's part of the spirit of that. You know, Mike McGee, he's injured. He wants to come back. This is a good chance because he's going to play a really quality team tonight and play with a very quality team.
Yeah, and it's not taking advantage of the rule. It's doing what it's supposed to do for some of these guys. I mean, I don't think there's a lot of Louisville City fans that would be too upset if Ricardo Kaká happened to have to come here for whatever reason.
Run up,
and that would be okay. I think that you get behind these guys. These players become the Jeremy Lynch, Mike Amersley, Brian Gold. They kind of became the same. That's our guys. So when you win with a Mike McGee, do you feel like that's our guy? Because he's not. He's going to go to play for Chicago.
It's part of the agreement,
3 days. But it's cool. Yeah. It's cool. It's definitely really. It's
gonna be fun.
It is what sort of makes the USL kind of unique because you're not going to have that in the ESL. You're not going to have that in any other league in the world. Because these are fans that actually care about whether the team wins. You see some minor league baseball clubs, and you don't really go, man, I really hope the Fort Myers Miracle win today. Nobody does that. It's just if a guy is on his way up to the majors and he's playing there that day, you might get excited about that. So that is the one part about minor league baseball that's cool is that occasionally King Griffey Jr. came down here or Adam Dunn was up here.
Well, I saw Aroldis Chapman pitch out here.
Right.
That was a good time.
That part is cool. That's but and it's not a farm system. It's this is USL and it's not a farm system. It's not going to be players going up and down. This is what 2 players, and it may not happen again the rest of the season.
Well, it's going to be a big game tonight. We got a lot riding on it. This is a chance for possibly Louisville to clinch the Kings Cup if they can get another win here. But obviously St. Louis doesn't want to see that happen. So we'll see what happens. I've also been told tonight is Armed Forces Night.
Yes.
And there was possibly a military discount on tickets.
Yeah, a military discount, and we're going to have a special presentation at halftime that I think it's really cool. I don't know how much of it is out yet. Out in the mainstream.
I received a press release yesterday, so I don't know what all was supposed to be relayed at the time. There was no embargo on it, so I don't know. We'll see what happens. Well,
it's pretty cool. I would say, it's
you're
really
gonna
cool.
like it. If you come out, you watch it. It's gonna be a fun time. It's gonna be a neat moment. So we got that going on. Obviously, we're hoping the weather holds off. It's been a beautiful day so far, and there's just a chance of rain. It could come through a little bit, but it's sunny out now, and it looks beautiful. So
I don't expect a 45-minute delay. But the way things have been going, it's
I saw on Twitter this week. Somebody tweeted. They said Louisville City. They said I would pay $100 for Louisville City FC branded rain gear. And Amanda Duffy tweeted back at him. She said I would pay $100 for a Louisville City game without rain.
Yes.
So who do we need to pay that to?
I don't know.
Because we could get her in touch with that person.
Who's in charge of the weather here?
I don't know.
Who do we need to talk to?
Mark Weinberg, maybe.
Maybe.
Well, I'll see what he can do.
What does Jay say?
We'll have a talk with him. We'll see what happens. We'll get in touch with him. Steve, thanks so much for joining me. We're going to bring in Timothy Clark now to discuss the fans and everything. Timothy Clark making his grand entrance.
Hello.
There he is.
Hello.
Does the microphone need to be adjusted?
No, it's fine. I'll just bend down a little bit.
I like your style.
Thank
Good.
you.
Whatever. Make do with what you
I
can.
will adapt.
Well, obviously, thanks to Steve for joining us. We got Tim now. Tim, let's start off with last weekend.
It was amazing. We're talking about the St. Louis game.
Yeah,
right?
you were there. We both
was.
made the trip up to St. Louis to see what it was all about.
I thought the rain was going to hold off. I heard you guys talking earlier about the $100 bet if we don't bring rain. I'm starting to get to the point where it's a jinx if we don't play in the rain, so maybe we should just keep up with the rain.
Hey, it's been successful in the rain
thus far, right?
You know, I think the worst rain brought out the best result. That was it was the 3-0. Obviously, we had the 4-0 against Toronto FC, but the 3-0 result against Tulsa was, they dominated that game, and it was hail, and I think they like it.
I guess they become supercharged, the players. I don't know.
Everybody's saying the Purple Rain thing, and now can we play that song?
I would like
Can
to
the
ask the
Coopers
PA
sing
guy.
that song?
I don't think so.
Well,
I couldn't verbatim. Could you?
I don't know all the words.
I don't either.
I know parts of it. That was part of why I didn't go see Prince when he was in town, because I was like, I know
price,
Purple Rain, and it was hard to get tickets, but it was it was kind of like, I know a lot of songs, I love them, but I couldn't sing along to every song, so it was whatever.
I'm paying to watch him sing anyway. But yeah, the 3-3 game was great. It was supercharged. I really thought after that Scotty Goodwin mishap that St. Louis was just kind of hold on 1-0. We did have to leave, unfortunately, so we're going to work that out next time with the bus company about maybe reserving some extreme weather time. I don't know what else to call it, but just a contingency plan.
Works,
so that happens. And we didn't know that was going to happen. We thought that the bus was ours for a 24-hour period, which it was not. But that's how you learn.
Gotta look at the fine print. But,
the Nate Pollock shot will go down in infamy in St. Louis history, I'm sure, because that was a backbreaker. Smokes on the field.
Oh yeah,
he boots it. The goalie maybe sees it at the last second. It was amazing. Our crowd went. Wow,
it kind of took him by surprise because Juan just sort of put the ball down. Juan Guzman on a free kick set the ball down, saw that he was good to go, put the pass off to Nate
I don't know
Pollock,
if they made eye contact or if Pollock just sees the ball coming his way and rips the shot, but it was amazing.
Well, this team certainly has the instincts to work together like that. You saw it. You see it.
I saw it more in the Indy game. I feel like the Indy game, especially extra time, you saw them just condense. They became more. They became tougher to break down. They just looked like they were playing with a different gear.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I thought when they came back out after the rain delay in St. Louis, as they came out with just another gear.
I don't know what coach said to them, but he's got a way with his words, man.
He was fired up. He wanted to get back out there as soon as possible. I saw him wandering around, looking the thing and looking at the rain and being like, "This is in Ireland. This is nothing. We need to be back out there now." So. Yeah, but I remember I was standing outside. I was taking a little video of the rain, getting a little bit of B-roll, and Greg Ranjit Singh comes walking out the door, and all I hear is, "Oh yeah, baby!" I thought, okay, well they're ready to go.
They love it.
They're getting back out there. They were having a good time. Yeah, it was good. But you spent some time in St. Louis with the St. Louligans.
Correct.
I spent some time in St. Louis with the St. Louligans. What was your impression of getting to be out there with them and seeing how they roll?
Our rivalry aside, they are a great bunch of people. We learned some things from them. We traded some information, a lot of organizational stuff like where do they get their scarves from, what kind of turnover do they expect, how do they handle tailgates. That's something that we've had trouble organizing, so we can learn from them. They like beer just like we do. That's a cool similarity we have. We can move on from that, grow from that, but
they said you got to sample the local beer when you're here. I said, okay, well, how do I get a Budweiser?
I tried finding you. Well, see, they told me
I know,
apparently.
It was a bad joke.
Well, maybe I'm ratting them out. No one drinks Budweiser in their organization as much crap as we give them.
Yeah.
I understand.
Yeah. Oh, well, don't worry. We'll go back to, you can talk trash about them later. We'll get back to that. But, we have to acknowledge the things that you learned from them. There was a tense moment at the tailgate when the bus pulled in. The bus actually kind of drove through
I didn't see that.
the tailgate, and they kind of pulled up, and the Coopers were kind of like, do we need to get in there? Like, what's going to happen here? And there were some jokes, but everybody mingled together. There was a giant picture. I think everybody had a good time.
Yeah, there was. The picture's great turnout. It shows just how everybody was getting along. Were you aware that there's a supporters game today?
Yes, that's what we're going to get to that.
Well, you have to sign up next time.
I would like to play. I was hoping to be the ref for it, maybe, because I want to keep it civil. I want to make sure, because I've mingled with both crowds. I took the pregame pint there last weekend. They were loved it. They were in. A lot of people showed up. They came on. We had, I had arranged for Matthew Bird to come on and talk a little bit, and then I got Jeremy Allenbaugh, the general manager,
which
was
is
nice
super
enough
cool.
to come
He was
on.
hanging out.
He was great, and then of course I said, so let's talk the history of soccer in St. Louis. And Matthew said, you're going to want this young lady here, Andy Gebhardt. And I said, oh great. I said, Andy, can you go on the show? She goes, yeah, all right, cool. And so she just wandered up, and we started with her. So it was great. They were very welcoming. I got to hang out at a place called the Amsterdam Tavern, which
that I did not get to do. I was at ITAP with you. That's it.
Well, the morning before the game, Sunday morning, it was Championship Sunday for EPL, and they have a neat bar that did the whole Championship Sunday thing. It put all of the games on all the different TVs, and so they were all mingling. And I wore a Newcastle jersey and thought, well, this is not going to go well because everybody's going to be like, Newcastle. I mean, just relegate yourself on out of here. But the bartender was wearing a Newcastle jersey and was giving me a shout out as soon as I walked in. So it was a good time. It was fun. Wandered around, spent some time in the Hill neighborhood where some of the U.S. national team from 1950. It was a neat place to hang out. Reminded me of Germantown here.
It does. It's funny you say that. A little larger. The roads are a little wider. I like the Soulard region. That's one of my favorites.
Soulard was beautiful. It reminded me of like a combination of like the Highlands and Old Louisville.
I was going to say, right up front here. I wish it'd be neat if we had that kind of market somewhere around here. I think it would go over well.
I think
city planners.
You all put together a little farmer's market in this lot on game days, maybe.
A beer market.
That'd be fun.
Or a bourbon market for that matter.
Against the Grain would probably be behind that. They would just want to sell their own beer out there, though. Yeah, that's fine. They have a lot of good beer. So the supporters game is getting started nowish, I think, 3:30.
What time is it? 3:30. They will be a little late, so the Louligans are on the bus. They're on their way here.
Good. I can make it over there.
Yes, you'll be able to make it. Good.
Okay. Good.
So after this, we're going to roll out, go to there. It's Champions Park. It is going to start around 3:30, 3:45. We'll be playing 40-minute halves to accommodate a pregame here. Luckily, we're only about a mile and a half up the road, so it'll be easy to get here.
It's just down River Road at Champions Park.
On Edith Avenue between Melwood and River Road.
Yeah. So how did this come about?
I want to say that this was the Louisville or Louligans supporters group that thought of it. They've been doing it a few years with some of the other supporters groups. Just another way to get together, get to know one another. We will be playing 4 games. I'm assuming next year we're going to play another 4 games against them. A U.S. Open Cup potentially next year. Who knows if they might give it that. So we could potentially see each other 8 to 9 times in this 2-year span. So I think it's important to get to know one another.
There's a lot of trash talk, but they are a good group of people. And Cooper's a good group of people, so it's fun to see them.
Well, I don't know if you alluded to it or maybe it was Steve, but they just want the rivalry to go. I mean, it's a big geography here makes it tough to really travel to every city to meet every supporters group. So it's good that we have that kind of camaraderie between us. That's on the field, that's one thing, but off after the game, before the game, it can be civil.
Well, one of the St. Louligans said to me during the game, they were trying to express, how much fun they have, and it was a neat scene. And he said, we want to be successful, we want to win. He said, but we don't mind if we're not successful. He said, if the game ends in a tie tonight,
so be it.
He said, that's what happens. So we're out here to have a good time. We want people to take notice, and I think that's kind of the feel of it all. Is they just want to be out there making noise and having fun, and so that's kind of what's been going on.
Unfortunately, they're not traveling with this many people as they did the first game. I think it's about maybe half, maybe a quarter less, but hopefully they bring the drum guys again. They bring a lot of noise. That'll be good to hear.
They have a good drum line. They work together, and we were admiring, I think last weekend, the cup holders on top of the drums.
Isn't that genius?
Yeah,
somebody took a picture of it.
Hit it. Right,
genius.
And then there was
spill.
And there was a bottle opener on the front of the drum. So
that makes more sense.
Yeah, so somebody can just sort of walk up and open a beer on the front of the drum. So. Yeah, it was inspiring. You had some ideas, I'm sure. What is there a plan to put bottle openers on the sides of the barrel drums? Because they're already in there. You can't buy bottles.
I guess tentatively, but I don't know what purpose they'd serve. I'm utilitarian, so is it a benefit or not? I don't know.
You don't care. They're not portable. Those things are heavy.
Yeah, they're really heavy. I thought we left it at the game when we had to leave. My thought was, well, that's all right. I've got a friend there who will store it. We'll just pick it up in September. But no, I think they got it home.
Oh, that's great. Okay, good. Because I remember you saying that you were like, I think we left the barrel. I was like, can I put it in my car? Because then I wouldn't be so lonely on the drive back. But
there's no bourbon in there either.
Okay, a police officer pulls me over and says,
what's that smell?
Did you drink that? I'm like, well, got to do something on the drive back. So, but anyway, tonight, what are the plans? Any big TIFOs or anything? Are we gonna...
Not this evening. March to the match, as always, 15 minutes prior to 7. Everybody will march over from Washington Street. The Louligans, I'm sure, will have their plan as well. They walked around last time about the same route as we did. ATG will have a pregame here. The Heretics are going to have their Heretic hug session, I think, at halftime.
Halftime hug time. I've been seeing that on Twitter, and I believe Wayne Estopanol is going to make an appearance.
The mayor might make an appearance.
Hugs
all around. I don't know. I don't know what to expect. I've not had a halftime hug from the Heretics.
I like it.
I like the alliteration.
Whatever. Call me a peace-loving hippie, but you know what? It's
hugs abound, man.
Halftime hug time. I think it's a great idea.
I don't know who thought of that. I'm imagining King thought of it.
Yeah, probably. Yeah. But it's So we'll see what happens.
That's the big happenings. I'm sure afterwards we're all going to pile back in here and have a couple pints.
Okay. And obviously 4:30 today. I don't know if you guys will be back in time. Women's World Cup send-off game. It's not the Women's World Cup yet, but the USA Women's National Team will be taking on. Who do they play? South Korea. South Korea in their last send-off game before the Women's World Cup, which begins June 8th against Australia in Winnipeg. And I believe Brian Davis is going to be making an appearance. We're going to do a segment to talk with the AOs a little bit about. We're going to have a pregame pint for the Women's World Cup.
He's the AO guy. Makes sense.
Yeah, and you know what I keep thinking is, you know that meme with the hobbits from the Lord of the Rings, where they say we've had one breakfast yet, but what about second breakfast? Yes. I just keep looking at this and I think we've had one World Cup, yes, but what about second World Cup? We get to do it all over again this year.
I like that.
And I think we're going to have a lot of people still on the USA bandwagon, so I'm excited about that.
I think so. I hope the FIFA stuff doesn't hurt anybody. People are talking about a boycott, but I think for the most part, we've turned that corner. It was a lurch to get to that corner, but we've turned it, and now there are folks that just want to watch soccer.
Yeah, I don't think people want to. You know, I don't think people want to bring FIFA down. They want to bring down what's been going on.
Good way to say it.
They want to push through it and everything. So I think it's one of those situations where you hope people will support it in the right way and denounce it in the right way. So we'll see what happens when it comes to that. There have been a lot of good columns written about what's been going on and why everyone should care about it and why everyone should.
It's a huge story.
Look at it. Oh yeah. I think you find a lot of people who might look at it and think, is this a big story? Because they don't follow soccer in this country particularly. But it is a huge story. FIFA is obviously the largest and most lucrative governing body. They have 209 countries with participating national organizations. So it affects a lot of people.
Is that better than the UN? Do they have more participation rate? I don't know.
I don't know. We'll talk sports. I don't know. Hey. What about the UN? I don't know how many.
Just throwing that out there.
I don't know exactly how many countries are in the UN. That's interesting.
I don't either.
So hopefully my geography teachers aren't watching this, but
they'll be okay.
Yeah, hopefully. Anyway, Mr. Cooper at St. X, sorry, man, but I'll study up for next time. So maybe for the World Cup show. But anyway, that's all we got. Timothy, thanks for joining me again, man.
Always a pleasure.
We're looking forward to the game tonight, 7:30, St. Louis FC versus Louisville City Football Club. Hopefully the rain holds out. Be there, at Slugger Field to support the team. Obviously, Armed Services Night, we're going to support them as well.
That's going to be a lot of fun.
That's an important part. It's going to be a neat ceremony at halftime, so we'll see what happens. But until next time, we're gonna look for the next game's a road game at Rochester.
Montreal or Rochester, one of the two.
Oh, it is Montreal midweek.
Then we come to Rochester, then back
Rochester. Yeah, so they're going to go on a little northeast excursion.
I don't know about Montreal, but the Rochester game is going to be a lot of fun to watch.
Yeah, it will be. And what's the plan for Chicago? Is there
We're putting one together tentatively. We're thinking about another bus. This is a big one. I mean, it's an MLS club. We are working with the Chicago front office on ticket packages. Great. I believe they're going to drop the price $220. Don't quote me on that. It's normally $33.95, so they're going to give us a bit of a discount. Okay. It's a U.S. Open Cup during the midweek, so we'll be able to negotiate something. But plan to, I guess, hear something in the next week or so.
Okay, you can watch for that on Twitter. I'll be at Dalton_Maine. He is at The City Lad.
Correct.
No spaces or anything. Follow us on Twitter at Dalton_Maine, at The City Lad. Look for updates on that. I will be headed to Chicago to cover the game. So we're gonna get up there. We're gonna see what goes on. U.S. Open Cup. We'll see if Louisville City can make it into another round. So tonight, 7:30 p.m. out here at Louisville Slugger Field from Against the Grain Brewery. I am Dalton Maine. This is Timothy Clark. Thanks so much for joining us.